Today's trip is likely to put in place a fresh framework for cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative.
Nepal's strategic position, navigating between China and the US. Nestled between two of the world's most powerful nations, Nepal occupies a position that is both strategically enviable and deeply precarious. Bordered by China to the north and India to the south, this small yet historically significant nation finds itself at the heart of a high-stakes geopolitical chess game. Both regional superpowers are vying for influence in Nepal, hoping to secure their own strategic interests while reshaping South Asia's political and economic landscape. In recent years, as India has drawn closer to the United States through trade and defense partnerships, the stakes for Nepal have only grown more complex. Some analysts worry that this evolving dynamic could erode Nepal's long-held tradition of neutrality, forcing the nation to make decisions with lasting consequences for its sovereignty and development. By exploring Nepal's intricate relationship with its neighbours, as well as its engagement with external powers like the United States, in this video we'll shed light on how the country's strategic decisions today could alter its future trajectory. Welcome to the Global Insight. Nepal's geographic location positions it as a pivotal buffer state between two of the world's most dynamic powers, China and India. This unique placement has long dictated Nepal's foreign policy, forcing it to carefully navigate the competing interests of its neighbours. With an open border shared with India, the two countries enjoy deep-rooted cultural, political and economic ties. These bonds have fostered a level of interdependence that has traditionally placed Nepal firmly within India's sphere of influence. However, the rising dominance of China in the region has significantly complicated this dynamic, introducing a new layer of strategic competition. China's relationship with Nepal has flourished since the mid-20th century, particularly as Beijing began to assert itself on the global stage. Through initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI, China has poured substantial investments into Nepal's infrastructure, from highways and railways to energy projects. These developments aim to transform Nepal into a vital link between Tibet and South Asia, aligning with China's broader ambitions to enhance its trade networks and geopolitical leverage. Such deepened ties have raised alarms in New Delhi, which now views Nepal's growing alignment with China as a potential threat to India's traditional influence in the Himalayan nation. In the past decade, China has significantly deepened its engagement with Nepal, reshaping the country's economic and strategic landscape. For the first time between 2014 and 2021, Chinese investments in Nepal outpaced those of India, signalling Kathmandu's strategic efforts to diversify its partnerships and reduce its heavy reliance on New Delhi. This shift has been particularly pronounced in infrastructure development, with China funding transformative projects like hydropower plants, oil pipelines, and major transportation networks. These efforts align with Beijing's overarching Belt and Road Initiative, which seeks to enhance regional connectivity and secure economic footholds across Asia. Key Chinese-backed projects in Nepal illustrate the extent of this growing influence. The West Seti Dam, Pokhara International Airport, and the Upper Trishuli hydropower project stand as examples of China's commitment to Nepal's development. Additionally, China's $3 billion pledge to transform Lumbini, the birthplace of Buddha, into a cultural hub reflects a blend of economic ambition and soft power diplomacy. These investments have collectively made China one of Nepal's most significant financial partners, with total aid, grants and loans reaching approximately $4.5 billion from the year 2000 to 2017. Since 2015, Beijing has ramped up its support further, cementing its role as a key player in Nepal's economic growth and regional positioning.
BRI is a project which is to share prosperity and to support other countries also who are left behind.
China's strategic interest in Nepal extends beyond economic ties, encompassing critical security concerns. Maintaining stable and friendly relations with Kathmandu is essential for Beijing to address potential threats along its southwestern border. Furthermore, Nepal plays a key role in China's efforts to prevent Tibetan exiles from using the country as a base for autonomy movements or anti-China activities. Through these multidimensional engagements, China continues to solidify its influence in Nepal, raising concerns for India and other global players about Beijing's growing dominance in South Asia. China's engagement with Nepal is driven by security priorities as much as economic interests. Stability within Nepal is of paramount importance to Beijing, particularly given its concerns over Tibetan activism. The Chinese government is keen to ensure that Tibetan exiles do not use Nepal as a base for anti-China movements, such as calls for Tibetan autonomy or independence. To achieve this, Beijing has prioritized strengthening ties with Kathmandu, including diplomatic, economic and military support. This effort forms part of China's broader strategy to secure its southwestern border and maintain control over its interests in South Asia. However, this deepening relationship has ripple effects on the region's security architecture. By forging closer ties with Nepal, China has gradually encroached upon what has traditionally been seen as India's sphere of influence. Nepal's increasing economic reliance on Chinese investment and infrastructure projects risks altering its foreign policy orientation, potentially straining its historical and strategic partnerships with India. For India, the prospect of China's expanding influence in a neighbouring country presents a serious challenge to its regional dominance and raises broader questions about South Asia's shifting power dynamics. As Nepal grapples with the pressures of balancing these competing forces, its choices will have far-reaching consequences for the security and stability of the region. India views China's growing engagement with Nepal as a direct threat to its long-standing dominance in South Asia. The relationship between India and Nepal, though historically close, has been marked by tensions over perceived Indian hegemonic behaviour and unresolved border disputes. Decades of unequal treaties, beginning in the mid-20th century, have fostered resentment within Nepal, leading the country to seek stronger ties with China as a counterbalance. This shift in Nepal's orientation challenges India's regional hegemony and forces New Delhi to recalibrate its strategy to maintain influence. India's response to China's rising presence has been multifaceted. Under its Act East policy, India has worked to deepen ties with Southeast Asian nations while countering Beijing's outreach in Nepal and other neighbouring countries. New Delhi has increased its development assistance to Nepal and engaged in cultural diplomacy to reinforce historical and societal bonds. However, India does face challenges in overcoming past missteps, such as the 2015 trade blockade, which caused widespread economic hardship in Nepal and left a legacy of distrust. While India continues to invest in infrastructure development and capacity building initiatives, its efforts are often overshadowed by China's proactive and large-scale investments under the Belt and Road Initiative. As Nepal increasingly benefits from China's economic partnerships, India's struggle to maintain influence in the country exemplifies the broader geopolitical competition playing out in South Asia. For New Delhi, safeguarding its strategic interests in Nepal is not just about preserving its regional dominance, but also about countering the implications of a Chinese-dominated neighbourhood. Amid rising tensions between China and India, the United States has intensified its engagement with Nepal, recognizing the country's strategic importance in the Indo-Pacific region. Central to this approach is the US Indo-Pacific Strategy, or IPS, which aims to counterbalance China's regional expansionism by fostering partnerships with key nations, including Nepal. A cornerstone of the US involvement is the Millennium Challenge Corporation, or MCC Compact, signed in 2017, which earmarks $300 million to bolster Nepal's infrastructure and economic growth. Such initiatives underscore Washington's growing interest in cultivating Nepal as a partner in its broader strategy to address the Chinese influence in Asia. In October 2024, Nepal and the United States took another step towards deepening ties by signing a Memorandum of Understanding to enhance cooperation in trade, investment, tourism and infrastructure. These initiatives bring valuable opportunities for Nepal, particularly as the American Chamber of Commerce in Nepal has proposed economic reforms to attract investment. Suggestions include easing profit repatriation policies and fostering growth in the ICT sector. Additionally, the US has historically been a significant provider of humanitarian aid and development assistance in Nepal, focusing on critical areas like disaster management and infrastructure development. These contributions have enhanced Nepal's resilience and provided much-needed economic support. However, closer alignment with the US comes with challenges. While Washington's support offers an alternative to Chinese investment, it risks straining Nepal's delicate relationship with Beijing. With China as a key partner under the Belt and Road Initiative, Nepal faces a diplomatic balancing act to avoid alienating Beijing while engaging with Washington. This geopolitical tightrope highlights the complexities of Nepal's foreign policy and underscores the need for Kathmandu to navigate these competing influences with extraordinary caution. The decisions that Nepal makes in managing its relationships with the US, China, and India will profoundly shape its future and its role in the shifting power dynamics of South Asia. Nepal's strategic position at the crossroads of China, India, and increasingly external powers like the United States opens multiple possibilities for its future. As regional dynamics evolve, the decisions that Nepal makes could fundamentally reshape its relationship with neighboring giants and redefine its role on the geopolitical stage. The first scenario sees Nepal leaning more heavily towards China, a possibility bolstered by Beijing's deep pockets and strategic investments. If China continues to pour resources into Nepal under initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative, while offering favourable trade terms and infrastructure development, Kathmandu may find it increasingly advantageous to align with Beijing. This shift would not only enhance Nepal's economic prospects, but also give China a stronger foothold in South Asia, further challenging India's influence in the region. In contrast, the second scenario involves Nepal gravitating back towards India, provided New Delhi addresses long-standing grievances. By renegotiating unequal treaties and demonstrating respect for Nepal's sovereignty, India could re-establish trust and foster a deeper partnership. Development initiatives focusing on shared infrastructure, cross-border trade, and cultural diplomacy would strengthen ties while countering China's growing influence. Such a scenario would preserve India's strategic interests and restore its traditional role as Nepal's closest ally. A third and perhaps more complex scenario involves Nepal maintaining its traditional stance of neutrality. By carefully balancing relationships with both China and India, Nepal could continue to act as a buffer state while avoiding entanglement in the geopolitical rivalry between its neighbours. However, achieving true neutrality in a region fraught with competition will require extraordinary diplomatic skill and a commitment to prioritising national sovereignty over external pressures. Finally, the growing involvement of external powers like the United States introduces a wildcard into Nepal's future. With initiatives such as the US Indo-Pacific Strategy and partnerships like the Quad, Washington's interest in Nepal adds another layer of complexity. While US engagement offers economic benefits and a potential counterbalance to Chinese dominance, it risks further polarizing Nepal's relationships with its neighbours. Navigating this external dynamic will require Kathmandu to tread carefully, ensuring that its alliances serve national interests without compromising its autonomy. The path Nepal chooses will not only determine its own future, but also influence the broader balance of power in South Asia. Whether it leans towards one power, maintains neutrality, or integrates external players into its foreign policy, the decisions made today will echo across the region for decades to come. Nepal's position between two rising giants, China and India, places the nation at a pivotal crossroads in South Asia's evolving geopolitical narrative. As Beijing deepens its influence through substantial investments under the Belt and Road Initiative and India strives to reaffirm its historical ties, Kathmandu faces the daunting task of balancing these competing powers. Adding to the complexity is the increasing engagement of external actors like the United States, whose strategic and economic initiatives offer both opportunities and risks for Nepal's long-term sovereignty and stability. The choices Nepal's leadership makes today will reverberate far beyond its borders. By adopting a calculated and nuanced foreign policy, Nepal has the potential to leverage its unique position to foster economic growth, safeguard its autonomy, and contribute to regional stability. However, missteps in managing these intricate relationships could destabilize its traditional stance of neutrality, reshaping not only Nepal's destiny, but also the power dynamics of South Asia. Well, that's it from the team at The Global Insight for now. We want to hear what you think. How does Nepal's strategic position affect its future stability and development? Do you believe that Nepal can maintain its neutrality amid rising global and regional competition? What role do you see for external powers like the United States in shaping Nepal's trajectory? As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel here at The Global Insight. And until next time, stay tuned.